So phase 2 correction would be this. If it continues to trend sideways or a little bit stronger, that would be a corrective phase when everyone starts thinking it's all over, we'll give up now. August should be more complicated, which is what we've been saying, which should be phase 2 of the correction of the banana zone. Things are kind of in this corrective pattern. Doesn't look a long-term thing. It looks like it's kind of next week or something like that.
August won't be smooth sailing, but it could set the stage for the most explosive phase of the year. That's the latest prediction from Real Vision CEO Raoul Pal. He sees the recent correction as the start of phase 2 of what he calls the banana zone, expected to last throughout August. During this phase, the market might pause just long enough to convince many that the rally is over. But Pal reminds us this isn't the end, it's simply the calm before the storm, catching most investors off guard. Stick around until the end of the video as Raoul Pal explains why this slowdown could be the final quiet before altcoins surge and the market enters its most intense rally yet. Still paying taxes on your crypto gains? What if you didn't have to? With ITrust Capital, you can buy and sell crypto inside a tax-advantaged IRA, giving you a smarter way to grow your portfolio without worrying about capital gains tax. That's why they're the #1 crypto IRA platform in America, with billions in tax-advantaged transactions. There are multiple ways to fund your account. You can make a contribution, transfer an existing IRA, or roll over an old 401k or employer plan. You'll get access to a wide range of digital assets, low fees, and 24/7 trading, all backed by secure, one-to-one asset ownership with institutional-grade custody. And if you have questions, ITrust Capital offers 100% US-based customer support with real people ready to help. Click the link, use code DOSE7, and get your $100 funding bonus today. Start building your crypto wealth, tax-advantaged, with ITrust Capital.
So, firstly, Bitcoin dominance. This was trying to get to the 9. It kind of would have been 9 that day. I put out that tweet saying Bitcoin dominance has peaked, and it peaked. It went up, put in another 9, and I think it's going to continue to fall from here. So that's like the start of the alt season. But really, it won't fall until we start getting below this kind of 61.5 level, something like this, 62. If it does that, then the much bigger game is at play, I think, which sets us up for phase 3 of the banana zone. So phase 2 correction would be this. If it continues to trend sideways or a little bit stronger, that would be a corrective phase when everyone starts thinking it's all over, we'll give up now. And then we should get phase 3, which is the final leg in the dollar, potentially a leg lower in rates, and the more speculative frenzy that comes at the last part of this. You see, there's that nice wiggle that it's not uncommon to get a slight correction. Whether this correction runs further, I think it's just forming a flag. Shouldn't be working wiggle for wiggle, but it appears to be right now, which is weird as shit, and I don't trust it. It's just, I think everybody finds it frustrating because they want it just to go up every day or every week, and it just doesn't work that way. It goes in spurts, and if you miss those opportunities, which is why I don't like ever being out of the market, because you miss it. So that's one that's interesting to me. Solana, again, it's got this 13 like Bitcoin has. Looks like it's a wedge. There was that spike, but generally it was like this inverse head and shoulders. A bit of chopping around here. Next leg will be higher. When that is, whether we need to go a bit lower first. Sui was the kind of same to me. If I actually go to my normal Sui chart, I think this is some sort of flaggy pattern. This is obviously we have to ignore because that spike and down and back up again. But somewhere here is some sort of just corrective pattern like we've seen a million times in the past. Doesn't yet look like it wants to break higher. So I don't know what's chopping the market, but maybe it's just the M2 chart that we looked at before. You know, there's just a bit of chop to be had still, just as everyone starts getting really bullish because everybody's opening one of these new kind of MicroStrategy copies and everything else. So I think that ETH, I've not been using these charts in little for a bit, but ETH just continues to look good from every level. Where's my daily chart? That's the weekly. They're all fucked up because I've not been over here for a bit. There
it is. There's that inverse head and shoulders.
Yeah, the inverse head and shoulders is a bit all my scaling screwed. It all looks good. I mean, it's just rejected here. Maybe this all comes down, back down to 2,300 or so, before then finally making the break. Doesn't feel wildly unlikely. And then because those are doing that, everything's doing the same. I mean, ETH, Bitcoin, same. There's like an inverse head and shoulders here. Let's just move that. Somewhere here is like an inverse head and shoulders. I think, again, this is the classic sign of alt season. I think somewhere here, once it breaks this, then we're going back up here. And that'll be the start of something much bigger, I think, finally. And that's the classic sign of some sort of alt season. What else have I been looking at? So, as you said, things are kind of in this corrective pattern. Doesn't look a long-term thing. It looks like it's kind of next week or something like that. So we wait and see. On the other stuff, it's going to give us a signal for what happens at the back end of the year. But if we go back to that chart you were showing of 2017, it's kind of suggesting that, these corrective patterns eventually fall away. The market digests this huge move that we had. It's a monstrous move. And then we go to another leg lower where we think it probably goes to somewhere between 95 and 90. So again, there's nothing I see is particularly, well, certainly nothing in equity land is bearish, but we're getting at levels of all-time highs where you get a bit of congestion. That will make sense. Nothing in crypto concerns me in any way, shape or form. It's just chopping around here. Feels like we're just going to be weaker for a bit, digesting various bits of news before we have the next leg.
We're digesting a big move in markets.
And, it's really interesting to see how strong the ETH narrative comes back. And I've been saying it for a while, is like, people can write off ETH, they're ridiculous. ETH has enormous amounts going for it. And now we've seen this new MicroStrategies version by Joe Lubin of buying ETH. I also think the financial system uses ETH a lot more. And I think ETH outperforms Bitcoin all the rest of the cycle now. And that's not uncommon.
Bitcoin dominance looks like it's already peaked. As it slips below 61.5%, altcoins are gearing up to take the spotlight. Pal views the current dip as just a brief breather, a short pause while retail interest cools down before the market truly kicks into gear again. In his eyes, the market is simply catching its breath before the next major move. Meanwhile, something huge is unfolding in the Middle East. During his recent visits to Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Qatar, Pal observed that sovereign wealth funds and government institutions there have been given a clear directive: prioritize artificial intelligence and blockchain above all else. With abundant energy resources, rapidly growing young populations, and substantial sovereign capital ready to invest, these nations are quietly racing to become global leaders in this new exponential era.
Really interesting. I was in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Qatar, and I was at the Abu Dhabi Investment Council, which is one of the big sovereign wealth funds. And they just made it very clear that everybody in the region, and Tom will know this because he's out there as well, is that they've all been given the mandate. Number one is AI, and number two is blockchain. Our core thesis is what they're building their entire future country stack on. And this is the whole Trump visit that went there. It's all about the same thing. So they know they've got abundant energy, which is part of your thesis, David. They know they've got abundant energy. They know that they're going to have to adopt technology at scale. They've got young populations that are growing, and they think they can be not only a regional leader, but a world leader in these two things. And so the mandate is invest in this, build this. And it's really exciting to see. I mean, everyone there is still trying to get their heads around what it means. I mean, but this is everything from the oil company through to the sovereign wealth funds, through to the general population, through to businesses, through to the education system, the system of government, all of it. That's what's up to grabs. And that's not just in Abu Dhabi, which tends to be very well thought through in this, but it's Dubai, it's Qatar, and it's Saudi. And Saudi's, really is a big player behind the scenes in this whole thing. So they have this cohesive strategy about what the world is going to look like, and that's what they're accelerating on. We've probably all mid-curved NVIDIA because we were assuming that there was going to be a boom-bust cycle because Microsoft and others will have pre-ordered what they're doing. But now we're seeing nation states with endless capital availability, building yet more stuff. And I just can't see how that stock doesn't continue to really perform, because it's at the epicenter of everything still, and that doesn't go away, and Taiwan Semi being another. It's the game of sovereign nations, because it has to be, but it's the future of everything. You know, if we saw one preemptive version of this with nuclear technology, you know, in fact stopped large conflicts, because you end up scaling this technology and it becomes a way of balancing power. And this is the new power. Right? Intelligence is the new power, is the new nuclear weapon. And you're going to see, I mean, what the Middle East is doing is building their own Arabic language versions and everything else. And we're going to see this regionalization of this, as you say. But at the middle of it is a bunch of technologies that is just not going to go away. And again, it's hard to keep your eye on all of the balls at the same time. You know, so like people are like, AR, VR has dropped off people's minds right now, but it won't do, because all of this brings yet more compute power and ability within that sector. Robotics is all over my X screen now, as more and more of these robots get better and better and better. We're going to see obviously the robo-taxi launch, I think, in Austin, Texas, next month. That's going to be, okay, we've got Waymo, but now we're going to start to see the Tesla rollout. And then soon after that, we're going to start to see a much larger rollout of the robots, which again, nobody's prepared for. They think it's quite amusing. They don't realize they're going to be ubiquitous very fast.
In other news, a long-dormant Bitcoin whale from the Satoshi era has suddenly returned to the spotlight after moving over $1.1 billion worth of BTC to major exchanges. This holder, tied to a wallet dating back to 2011, initially transferred 80,000 Bitcoin, valued at $9.7 billion, in two large transactions on July 15th and 18th. The coins first went to Galaxy Digital, then were distributed across platforms like Binance, Coinbase, and OKX. While some analysts worry these massive moves could trigger a market correction, others believe the sales are being carefully managed through a combination of over-the-counter deals and exchange activity. About 12,000 BTC are still left to be sold, but market liquidity seems strong enough to handle the flow. Blockchain experts suggest that the reactivation of this once inactive wallet may not necessarily signal bearish intentions. Instead, it might simply reflect the redistribution of legacy coins into newer hands, especially among long-term institutional holders. Some now argue that the traditional 4-year Bitcoin cycle is fading, making way for a market increasingly dominated by firms with deeper pockets and longer investment horizons. What do you think? Does this shift signal positive growth or something to watch cautiously? Share your thoughts in the comments below. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.